Hey vinyl community, welcome to RB's Vinyl Corner. And in today's episode, I want to talk about my latest two additions to my Elvis Presley vinyl collection. Last week I was digging in some crates with used vinyl in my local record store, and I bumped into a near mint condition copy of Elvis, a Canadian tribute. Now I think that most diehard fans and Elvis collectors know about this album or even have it in their collection. It's a beautiful record that was released in 1978. It's a compilation album and it collects songs that has roots in Canada, because all of the songs on this album were written or performed previously by Canadian artists such as Gordon Lightfoot, Gene McClellan, Buffy St. Marie, Hank Snow, Paul Anka, and the Diamonds. And the reason why they came up with this specific album is because they wanted to honor the fact that Canada was actually the only place outside the United States that Elvis actually toured in and performed concerts in. And that was back in 1957, where he did 3 concerts in Toronto, Ottawa, and Vancouver. Now there were a lot of rumors that he would return to Canada in 1975, but that actually never ever happened. So Canada has the honor to be the only country outside of the United States that ever had Elvis Presley performing that. And they wanted to honor that with releasing a Canadian themed album, which is a Canadian tribute. It's a great album with great songs. Let me shout out the songs on this album. It has an introduction and then it will go into Jailhouse Rock. It has another introduction that would go into Teddy Bear and then Loving You, and then we go to the Canadian themed songs. Until It's Time For You To Go, Early Morning Rain, Moving On, Snowbird, That's What You Get For Loving Me, Put Your Hand in the Hand, Little Darling, and My Way. And it also has snippets from a press conference that Elvis did in Vancouver. So it's a pretty cool album, and the reason why it's so special and I wanted to talk about the specific one is because it's actually still partly in the shrink wrap, as you probably can see here. It is opened, but I think they opened this only to check the contents, because it absolutely looks and sounds unplayed. And it still has the price sticker here, which is a price sticker from the V and D, which was a Dutch chain of warehouses. But it also still has the hype sticker on, and you don't often bump into older Elvis albums with the hype sticker still on it. And it says the Gold Album, Special Limited Gold Edition, which obviously refers to the vinyl, which is in translucent gold vinyl, which is gorgeous, and I will show you that in a minute. I'm really happy bumping into a partly sealed album that absolutely looks and feels like it just was released yesterday. Beautiful copy, and I'm really absolutely happy about this. Now let me show you some of the insides. It comes with an inner sleeve that has also a lot of pictures on it, and all these pictures, of course, obviously, are taken in Canada when he was visiting Canada. So we see a couple of concert pictures and press pictures, and they were all taken in 1957, with of course the credits here on who appeared on the pictures and where they were taken. And then on the flip side of it, we see some of the fans' comments, and we see the track listing with a couple of other pictures of Elvis performing in Canada. Now let us have a look at the vinyl, because that's actually really gorgeous. I really love this. This was released in a time when colored vinyl was actually still something special, because these days they release album after album on colored vinyl, and it's not really very special anymore because it's happening a lot. But back in the day it was actually still quite special. And this is a gorgeous one. So this is, like I told you, on transparent gold colored vinyl, and it's amazing. And it has a custom label that you can see here with a picture of Elvis on it. Of course, it's on the RCA label, and it's absolutely in fabulous and fantastic condition. Again, it feels like and it looks like it's absolutely new and has never been played before. So again, that makes me think that this is just an unplayed album. The only minus on this album, which doesn't make it a complete mint grade, is of course the traditional cutout here, which happened a lot on import LPs. But other than that, I'm absolutely, completely satisfied and happy with having a copy, a mint copy, a near mint copy with hype sticker of the Canadian Tribute. Now, here's the great thing. A couple of days later, I went back to the same store because they have a lot of vinyl, second-handed and used vinyl coming in all the time. And to my big surprise, I bumped into another partly sealed record, Elvis Presley record. And in this case, it's the Top 10 Hits. Now, the Top 10 Hits record was released in 1987 as part of a series re-releases and special albums that commemorated on the 10th anniversary of Elvis Presley's untimely passing in 1977. So in 87, they were releasing a lot of stuff. And this is a time where they were also re-releasing a lot of Elvis Presley's back catalog on CD for the first time. Because as you all know, the second half of the 80s saw the rise of the CD craze. And they were digitally remastering a lot of his stuff. Now, this was a great time to be an Elvis fan. And I've been there in that time, I lived in that time, and I had a lot of those CDs. And prior to the release of all the CDs, most of the Elvis Presley albums, like the vinyl albums, had those terribly electronically reprocessed stereo versions with a lot of echo. And those were the ones. So if you would get a original pressing of a mono album of Elvis, you would get the good sounding ones. But those were extremely hard to get back in the day. So when they were digitally remastering all these classic Elvis albums, we actually got the music in a fantastic sound quality that we never heard before. It was an amazing time to be a fan. Now these days, a lot of people are not really a big fan, like the die-hard music collectors are not really a big fan of digitally remastered stuff. But back in the day, it was actually still a thing, and music never sounded better. It's just since recent years that they go back to analog recording again. Now that's a thing again because retro is a thing. But the truth is that once I heard these remasters, those were the ones to go through. It completely overshadowed the electronically reprocessed stereo tracks that they were putting on the records after they started doing that. Now, the Top 10 Hits is, like I said, is part of a series of albums that was released to commemorate on the 10th anniversary of his passing. There were a lot of other albums released around that time. Some well-known ones are the Complete Sun Sessions, which was a great double record. We had the Memphis record, which is one of my most favorite Elvis albums, compilation albums, and also one of the best sounding mixes on those great Memphis recording sessions. Then we had the Top 10 Hits, but we also had an album which was called the Number One Hits. And the Number One Hits was actually a single disc that only contained 18 number one hits of Elvis Presley, and I'm talking about number one hits in the United States. But for the ones that wanted a little bit more, they came up with the Top 10 Hits, which contained the same 18 number one hits plus an additional set of songs that made it to the top 10. And that was actually a double album, which is the one I'm holding here in my hand. Great, great record. Really fantastic release, and I'm really, really happy to have it. And as you can see, also this one is still partly in the seal, only opened here to probably check the contents, because also, like the Canadian Tribute, this looks and feels like a brand new album. And it makes me think that this maybe comes from the same collection as the Canadian Tribute. And also this one has still the hype sticker on it, which says digitally remastered, free poster inside, 18 number one hits, and a great set. And again, in a time when digitally remastered was still a thing. Now, I'm absolutely stoked about this one because this one comes with all the original stuff that came with it. And I'm going to show you. It came with a pamphlet which had an advertisement for an album that's called Elvis Talks, which was a collection of interviews and other stuff. And that was one of those albums they were releasing to commemorate on that 10th anniversary. And on the flip side of this, you can see the 4 albums that were released together, which is the number one hits, which I was just previously talked about, the top 10 hits, which I'm holding here, the Memphis record that I was just talking about, which is a fantastic album. This is really great. It's still, I think the mixes on that one is still one of my favorite mixes of the Memphis recordings. And then of course the Complete Sun Sessions, which is also a great album, but obsolete these days with the Boy from Tupelo set. But still a great double set to have. So that's part of that set. And then it also comes with a poster. And the poster is also still included in this set. I'm going to show you. And this is posters identical to the poster that they also included in the number one hits CD, LP. So we have the Elvis Presley posters, a wonderful picture of the 50s. So it's really nice to have this as a complete set. And then it comes as a double LP with the original inner sleeves that were custom inner sleeves that says a 1987 commemorative release on both sides. So they could have put some pictures on it, but they didn't for whatever reason. But they were still custom sleeves. And then the label on these vinyls are the black RCA labels with the nipper logo next to the RCA label logo there. And this is the label that they were actually using when they started releasing a lot of the Elvis back catalog in the second half of the 70s. So this is pretty cool. And of course the other one is identical. And again, the vinyl of this is in a perfect condition. And I played it and there are hardly any cracks and pops on this album. So again, really special to bump not into one but into 2 partly sealed mint condition Elvis Presley records. Great album. On the flip side we see the track listing with the chart positions that the songs winded up in when they were climbing the charts back in the day. 18 number one hits and an additional set of songs that made it to the top 10 are the contents of the top 10 hits Elvis Presley commemorative issue. So, Canadian tribute, top 10 hits, like in near mint to very minty conditions. I'm very happy with this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have comments, if you have you want to share your ideas about these specific records, please comment in the comment section here and I will absolutely join in the conversations. I always appreciate that. Also, if you didn't do so already, please subscribe to my channel so that you don't have to miss out on any of my future videos again. And please, if this is the first time you visited my channel and my visits, just dig through my videos because there's a lot of Elvis going on there. I hope to see you in the next edition of RB's Vinyl Corner.